Out of infinite chaos, why does everything seem just right? The universe expands with precision, constants never waver, and life, somehow, exists, almost as if someone meant it to. Imagine the universe appearing from nothingness. From an infinitely small point, it silently transformed into the cosmos we see today. But could this entire narrative be a meticulously crafted story, one that just so happens to be comprehensible to the human mind? The truth may be far stranger than we imagine. In the next 40 minutes, we hope to take you on a journey of cosmic exploration that is both exhilarating and profound. We wish you a good dream. When you look up at the night sky, the stars, galaxies, and cosmic dust you can see account for less than 5% of the total mass energy of the universe. What, then, is the mysterious other 95%? They are the invisible and elusive dark matter and dark energy, and the ubiquitous quantum fields. Is there a profound pattern hidden behind all of this, an intricate code, a mathematical precision so perfect it inspires awe? Is it all merely a random accident? Or was it designed? As we examine our universe through the lenses of cutting-edge scientific hypotheses and deep philosophical inquiry, your established perceptions may be on the verge of a complete overhaul. First, let us use mathematics as the key to unlock the cosmos. You will find that in the physical equations that describe the universe's operations with ultimate precision, the slightest variation in any fundamental constant could cause our entire reality to collapse. Take gravity, for instance. If its strength were increased by a mere fraction of a percent, stars would burn out too quickly, planets would be unable to form, and life as we know it would cease to exist. This is the first cosmic paradox we must confront. Our existence seems to be balanced on the knife's edge of a series of perfectly calibrated physical constants. This extreme precision strongly implies the presence of design. Yet, science tells us this apparent perfection might just be a statistical stroke of luck. In the potentially infinite multiverse, countless failed realities with chaotic physical parameters exist, and we just happen to live in the lucky one where the parameters are correct. Faced with these two explanations, which do you find more plausible? You might think, if the universe was designed, then who or what is the designer? And if such a designer exists, who designed the designer? At this point, we seem to be trapped in an inescapable logical loop of infinite regression. Perhaps this is why we must concede the limits of our own understanding, acknowledging that before the mysteries of the cosmos, we are like ants trying to comprehend the structure of a skyscraper. Even Einstein, recognized as one of the most brilliant minds, felt the inadequacy of existing theories when faced with the dawn of time. He conceived of space as a vast fabric, warped by mass and energy. Near a black hole, time slows to a near standstill. If you travel at the speed of light, time stops completely. And at the moment of the Big Bang, our very concept of time may not have existed at all. Therefore, before the initial expansion of the universe, there was no before that we can define. Asking what happened before the Big Bang might be like asking what is north of the North Pole, a question based on our daily experience that loses its meaning under the universe's extreme conditions. Our trusted physical rules and logical intuitions fail us when we confront the fundamental nature of cosmic origins. So, if you could reverse the river of time and return to that infinitely dense origin point of the universe, what would you see? The moment of creation, or a state entirely beyond our current comprehension? In response to this question of cosmic origin, some physicists have proposed bold hypotheses, such as the infinite cyclic universe model. Consider your own existence. Every atom in your body was forged in the fiery core of a dying star billions of years ago. It is no exaggeration to say that you are a part of the universe's evolution. And the universe, it seems, is observing and experiencing itself through this strange phenomenon we call consciousness. Is this profound, intrinsic connection between our physical selves and the vast cosmos merely a coincidence, or is it evidence of a grander design? When we delve into the microscopic world, the reality revealed by quantum physics subverts our conventional understanding of reality and nothingness. It tells us that even what we consider empty space is, in fact, teeming with ceaseless activity. Virtual particles pop into existence from the vacuum and vanish in an instant. Quantum fields constantly fluctuate. Beneath the seemingly smooth and tranquil surface of the vacuum lies a boiling, dynamic reality brimming with infinite possibilities. Therefore, the absolute nothing of our traditional concepts may not exist at the quantum level. However, all the physical laws we currently know break down at the extreme moment of the Big Bang. Our mathematical tools and theoretical frameworks cannot describe what happens there. We seem to have reached the frontier of human knowledge. Is the hypothetical designer hidden within this mathematical singularity, a point our current physics cannot penetrate? Or does this simply mark the current limit of human understanding? Either outcome fills one with a deep sense of awe and the unknown. If we insist on introducing the concept of a creator-designer, we are often left with more and more difficult questions than answers. For instance, if the designer meticulously fine-tuned the universe for life, why does life seem so rare, almost non-existent, in our vast observable universe? The vast majority of the cosmos is extremely hostile to life as we know it. Even on our fortunate planet, an estimated 99% of all species that have ever existed are now extinct. Is this evidence for intelligent design, or evidence of its absence? Perhaps our perspective is simply too limited. We are carbon-based lifeforms that evolved on a rocky planet orbiting a stable star. Our definition of life and our understanding of consciousness are naturally constrained by our own form of existence. But what if life could take forms we cannot currently imagine? What if consciousness could arise in the scorching plasma of a star, or in the frigid, ultra-cold gases of an interstellar cloud? What if the entire universe itself possesses a diffuse form of consciousness that we cannot yet comprehend? In pursuing such questions, the line between bold scientific speculation and cutting-edge physical theory becomes increasingly blurred. Let's delve deeper into another great mystery shrouding the universe: dark energy. This mysterious, invisible force appears to be driving the accelerated expansion of our universe. According to current estimates, it accounts for a staggering 68% of the universe's total mass energy. Yet we still know almost nothing about what it is. Even more perplexing, the strength of dark energy also seems to be perfectly calibrated, allowing galaxies enough time to form in the early universe without being torn apart by the expansionary force. Is this another coincidence that allows for our existence, or is it a crucial clue about the nature of reality? Accompanying dark energy is dark matter, which accounts for another 27% of the universe's mass energy. It too is an invisible, untouchable, and undetectable component. But its powerful gravitational effects played a crucial role in the formation of the large-scale structure of the universe, acting as an unseen cosmic scaffold. Without this gravitational skeleton of dark matter, galaxies would fly apart, and stars themselves might never have condensed from the primordial gas clouds. And we, naturally, would never have appeared on this cosmic stage. Do the math. The ordinary matter that makes up everything we can see is a mere fraction, less than 5% of the entire cosmic inventory. We, and everything we are familiar with, are the exception in this universe, not the rule. And perhaps the greatest mystery of all is that we humans, with brains composed of this meager 5% of matter, can even attempt to comprehend it all. Why is it that the human brain, which evolved to survive, reproduce, and evade predators on Earth, could develop abstract thought and master profound theories like quantum mechanics and general relativity that describe the universe's most extreme states? How can the abstract mathematical models we create, products of pure human thought, so accurately capture the deepest workings of physical reality? Does this imply that our way of thinking is somehow aligned with an intrinsic design or logic of the universe? Or is this, again, just a coincidence, where reality just happens to have chosen mathematics as its fundamental language? When the double-slit experiment revealed that the behavior of microscopic particles changes fundamentally depending on whether they are observed, our understanding of reality was shaken to its core. Reality itself seems to change depending on whether we are looking at it. What does this tell us about the incredible connection between consciousness and the physical world? Is the observer, in some way, fundamental to the constitution of reality? To explain these baffling quantum phenomena, physicists have proposed various bold interpretations. Some suggest that the involvement of consciousness causes the quantum wave function to collapse, essentially bringing a determinate reality into existence through the act of observation. Other, more bizarre interpretations, like the famous many worlds interpretation, propose that every quantum possibility spawns its own universe, creating an infinitely branching multiverse where every possible outcome occurs somewhere, site -1. Still other interpretations focus on quantum entanglement, what Einstein famously called spooky action at a distance. Two entangled particles, no matter how far apart, seem to instantly sense each other's state, completely violating our intuitive understanding of causality. All of these interpretations are often mathematically self-consistent, yet the pictures of reality they paint are profoundly strange. If the multiverse theory is correct, then our universe is truly just one bubble in an infinite cosmic foam. Each of these cosmic bubbles could have its own unique physical constants, fundamental laws, and evolutionary history. In that case, the astonishing fine-tuning our universe exhibits is not evidence of design, but rather a result of selection bias. We find ourselves in a universe with parameters just right for life simply because, in all the other universes with chaotic parameters unsuitable for life, there are no observers to ask the question, why is our universe so special? This is the so-called anthropic principle. It provides a seemingly scientific alternative to the design argument. But for now, at least, both a transcendent designer and a hidden multiverse lie far beyond the reach of what our current scientific experiments can directly verify or falsify. We, insignificant dust motes forged from the evolution of countless stars over eons, possess minds that dare to peer into the depths of the universe with our crude instruments and finite intellect, contemplating the cosmos as a whole. It is from this seemingly humble perspective that we pose the ultimate questions about the universe itself and the meaning of our own existence. There also appears to be a fascinating, strange symmetry between the largest and smallest scales of the universe. The large-scale structure of the cosmos that we observe, the cosmic web of filaments formed by countless galaxy clusters stretching across billions of light-years, is strikingly similar in form to the complex network of interconnected neurons in our brains. And at the other extreme, at the Planck scale, some theoretical descriptions of the seething quantum foam of spacetime seem to echo this complex network structure. Are these similarities, spanning countless orders of magnitude, mere coincidences, or do they hint at a deep, fractal nature of reality itself, where the same patterns repeat and manifest from the most microscopic quantum level to the most macroscopic cosmic scale? Some theoretical physicists have boldly proposed that the matter and energy we perceive may not be the most fundamental components of reality. Reality may, in the end, be composed entirely of information. The universe itself may be less a physical entity of particles and fields, and more like a giant information processing system, a grand cosmic computation, or an exquisitely crafted simulation. In this view, the fundamental particles and their interactions that we observe could be mere external manifestations of how information is encoded, transmitted, and processed at the most basic level. If this conjecture is true, then the role of the universe's designer might be more akin to that of a master programmer than a traditional creator god. But the question remains, who wrote the code for this cosmic program, and on what kind of hardware, unimaginable to us, does it run? We seem, once again, to have fallen into that familiar, infinite logical loop. At this moment, you might be thinking we are overthinking this. Are we unconsciously projecting our human concepts of design and purpose onto a cosmic reality that may completely transcend these limited categories? Perhaps the universe simply is, without a preconceived reason or a hidden intent. All our questions, confusion, and wonder are merely the wishful thinking of a mind that yearns to understand in the face of the vast unknown. Yet, just as we try to dissolve the universe's complexity with the idea of simple existence, the universe itself throws new challenges at us. Let's enter the realm of entropy, a field as fundamental as it is filled with profound paradoxes. The second law of thermodynamics clearly states that in any isolated, closed system, the total disorder, or entropy, will always irreversibly increase. The universe, if considered a closed system, should follow this law, moving from order to disorder, ultimately reaching a state of heat death. Yet, contrary to this, we, highly ordered and extremely complex living beings, miraculously exist in a universe that should be tending towards chaos. Life itself seems to be a peculiar phenomenon that locally resists the overwhelming tide of entropy. It does so by harnessing external energy flows, like life on Earth using solar energy, to create and maintain its own organization and complexity. But this local decrease in entropy comes at the cost of a much larger increase in entropy for the larger system as a whole, and depends on an open system with a continuous energy gradient. The Sun provides this energy gradient for life on Earth. But what provided the initial low-entropy starting point and the ongoing energy gradient for the universe itself? If entropy always increases, does this mean the universe must have started in a very special, extremely ordered, low-entropy state? Why would this be the case, a state of extremely low probability? To solve this low-entropy puzzle of the early universe, some physicists see it as evidence for a cyclic universe model, where the universe undergoes cycles of birth, expansion, contraction, and rebirth, with black holes possibly playing a key role in resetting entropy. Others propose that our observable universe is just an accidental low-entropy patch within a much larger cosmos. Another view is that our perception of the arrow of time, time always flowing from past to future, is simply a macroscopic manifestation of the universe's overall increase in entropy. In a hypothetical region where entropy decreases, time might appear to flow backward. Next, let's consider a more unsettling paradox, the Boltzmann brane paradox. This thought experiment points out that if the universe exists for a long enough time and in a large enough space, then according to statistical mechanics and quantum fluctuations, it is entirely possible, in principle, for an isolated, conscious brain with complete memories and experiences to spontaneously assemble from random particle collisions. This Boltzmann brane, though it would exist for only an infinitesimally brief moment, could have a subjective experience identical to yours right now. From a purely statistical standpoint, the probability of a random fluctuation producing such an isolated brain with false memories is far greater than the probability of a fluctuation producing an entire, highly ordered universe like ours with a long evolutionary history. Does this mean that, rather than being a real individual in a real universe, you are more likely to be a transient Boltzmann brane experiencing a fleeting, illusory reality? Cold, hard mathematical derivations seem to point to this unsettling conclusion, which is why physicists consider it a profound paradox that needs to be resolved. It's particularly noteworthy that our universe exhibits completely different behaviors at different observational scales. On the macroscopic scale, everything seems to follow deterministic physical laws. With sufficiently precise initial conditions and computational power, we can predict their future states with astonishing accuracy. However, when we enter the microscopic quantum scale, determinism seems to vanish, replaced by a fundamental, seemingly irreducible probability. We can never predict exactly where an electron will be next. We can only calculate its probability. Some philosophers and theologians even see in this the possibility for free will, suggesting that this quantum-level randomness and uncertainty might be the space where a mechanism beyond physical law can subtly influence and shape reality without directly violating known physics. Cite -1. So, is this randomness at the heart of reality the true face of the universe? Or is it a mere illusion masking a deeper determinism? Or is it truly the source of some kind of freedom? What is the nature of this mechanism? If quantum randomness is already confounding enough, the concept of infinity, when linked with the scale and possibilities of the universe, is perhaps the greatest challenge to our finite human comprehension. Some models in modern cosmology suggest that the universe may be infinite in extent. Beyond our current observable horizon, space may stretch infinitely in all directions. If the universe is truly infinite, then according to probability theory, a dizzying conclusion becomes unavoidable. In an infinite space, any finite configuration of matter with a non-zero probability of existing must necessarily repeat an infinite number of times. This means that somewhere, in a distant corner of the vast expanse, there must be another Earth, almost identical to ours, inhabited by another you, with the exact same genes, the same memories, and who may even be pondering these same questions at this very moment. This is not sensational science fiction, but a logical deduction based on the premise of infinite space and the finite possible arrangements of matter. Does this cosmic repetition make your existence more meaningful, or does it, on the contrary, render your uniqueness pale and insignificant? Are you the one and only you, or just a pattern that the universe has randomly produced and infinitely repeated in its eternal game of combinations? Even if our universe is spatially finite, it could be infinite in time, either stretching endlessly into the future or undergoing an infinite number of cosmic rebirths. Furthermore, if the many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics is correct, then reality branches like a tree at every microscopic quantum event, creating an infinitely vast multiverse that contains all possibilities. Infinity upon infinity upon infinity. Our minds, with their finite cognitive abilities, are almost helpless when trying to grasp such a dizzying, nested concept of infinity. Is the concept of infinity itself a key that helps us touch and understand the deepest nature of cosmic reality? Or is it merely a mathematical abstraction constructed by humans, one that fails when our physical theories and mathematical tools reach their limits of applicability? At this point, you might ask, what does all this grand discussion about the universe have to do with my ordinary daily life? Think of it this way. Every single atom that constitutes your body was, without exception, forged in the blazing cores of long-dead stars over a span of billions of years of cosmic time. The iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, they were all once part of the distant stars. On this most fundamental level, you are not an isolated individual separate from the vast universe. You are an inherent, inseparable part of it. The universe, through highly concentrated conscious entities like you, made of its own matter, is looking back at itself, experiencing and understanding this world. Regardless of whether there is an elaborate design or pure coincidence behind it all, the very fact that you, as a conscious being capable of contemplating these profound questions, exist at this moment in cosmic history, is that not, in itself, a miracle to be marveled at and cherished? However, the most fundamental mysteries of the universe remain unsolved. We still don't know why there is something rather than nothing. We don't know why the physical constants governing the universe have the specific values they do. Is our universe unique, or is it just one among countless possible universes in a broader multiverse landscape? Does it have a definitive beginning, or has it always existed? Is the consciousness we possess an emergent phenomenon of highly complex matter, or is it a more fundamental property of the universe? Is there an ultimate purpose hidden behind the reality we inhabit, or does it simply exist, without any preordained meaning or direction? These enormous gaps in our understanding may one day be filled by science, but it's also possible they represent a fundamental limitation of our specific type of cognitive ability, a cosmic veil we can never fully penetrate. Even the very question we keep asking, who designed the universe, may be fundamentally flawed from the outset. Does this question unwittingly presuppose certain anthropocentric assumptions that may not apply to the ultimate reality of the cosmos? We humans are accustomed to thinking about the world in terms of cause and effect, beginnings and endings, intentions and purposes. But the principles by which the universe operates at its most fundamental level may far transcend the intuitions and categories derived from our macroscopic experience. Consider quantum entanglement, where particles can influence each other instantly over vast distances, challenging our traditional notions of local causality. Consider general relativity, which reveals space and time unified into a dynamic, four-dimensional space-time fabric, subverting our understanding of before and after. If theoretically possible closed time-like curves truly exist, the very concept of a first cause would lose its meaning. So, perhaps the universe was not designed by an external intelligence as we imagine. It might be more like a spontaneous, emergent phenomenon. Like the intricate, complex frost patterns on a winter window, it may have crystallized and grown its order spontaneously from the underlying quantum potentialities and basic rules of interaction. Perhaps the universe brought itself into being through a kind of cosmic bootstrapping paradox, creating its own initial conditions in a causal loop that transcends our linear conception of time. Or perhaps the evolution of the universe is more akin to a process of natural selection, where, among a multitude of possible cosmic seeds, those that happen to have physical parameters more conducive to complexity, and life survived and continued to evolve. Of course, we cannot entirely rule out another possibility, that a designer does exist, but this designer may not be a personified deity in the traditional sense, but rather a cosmic-level intelligence, or a fundamental principle operating in a higher dimension or on a deeper level that we cannot yet comprehend. If such a cosmic intelligence exists, how do we then explain the contradiction between the predictions of the Drake equation and the phenomenon of the Great Silence? According to the Drake equation's estimates of the number of possible intelligent civilizations in the Milky Way, the result is often thousands, even millions. But so far, the universe has shown us only silence. Does this great silence mean that technological civilizations inevitably self-destruct? Or are there fundamental barriers to interstellar communication or travel? Are we humans truly alone? Or, more unsettlingly, have advanced civilizations chosen to hide themselves for some reason? If humanity is indeed alone, the sole intelligent life in our observable universe, what does that imply for the design debate? Shouldn't a carefully designed universe be teeming with life and intelligence? Or could it be that a single intelligent species capable of reflecting on the universe itself was the ultimate goal of the entire cosmic design? Conversely, if the universe was not designed, should we expect life to be common or exceedingly rare? Confusingly, either the presence nor the absence of extraterrestrial intelligence seems to provide a clear answer to whether the universe was designed. It merely reframes this ancient riddle from a new perspective. Let's make an even bolder assumption. If there are indeed intelligent life forms more advanced than us, they may have long transcended the biological limitations we understand, entering a new phase of post-biological evolution through advanced technology. The existence and communication methods of such civilizations might be entirely different from anything we can imagine. They may have uploaded their consciousness into artificial substrates, or evolved into energy-based life forms, inhabiting the interiors of stars or the event horizons of black holes. Their perception and operation on time scales might be so vastly different from ours that our mere decades of radio astronomy observations are completely insufficient to capture any trace of their existence. The apparent darkness and silence of the cosmos could be concealing a cosmic intelligence that is simply beyond our current cognitive abilities. Furthermore, what if the universe itself, at its most fundamental level, is a form of intelligence or consciousness? Panpsychism, an ancient philosophical idea, has recently regained attention. It posits that consciousness is not merely a product of complex systems like the brain, but a more fundamental and universal property of the cosmos, inherent in matter itself. Modern theories of consciousness like integrated information theory, IT, attempt to understand consciousness from an information processing perspective, suggesting that the emergence of consciousness is related to the complexity with which a system can integrate information. This complex information processing doesn't just happen in human brains. It could also occur in many other natural systems, and even in the universe as a whole. If this theory is correct, could the universe as a whole constitute a vast cosmic mind, possessing a kind of integrated consciousness we can hardly imagine? And could our individual human consciousnesses be merely insignificant nodes of thought within this grand cosmic mind? These speculations may sound fantastical, but the reason they are seriously discussed is precisely because they highlight the most fundamental and bewildering mystery at the core of our existence: consciousness itself. This subjective world that each of us directly experiences still cannot be fully explained by our most advanced physical theories. How the objective, physical brain produces subjective, first-person experience, the hard problem of consciousness, as philosophers call it, may not only be the key to understanding the brain, but the key to understanding reality itself. If consciousness is truly a fundamental property of the universe, rather than just an accidental emergence from complex matter, then the universe we inhabit no longer looks like a cold, soulless, giant machine. Instead, it appears more like a living embodiment filled with an inner spirit, or perhaps, it is itself a manifestation of some grand mind. As we delve deeper into the nature of consciousness, the boundary between science and philosophy becomes ever more blurred. Some physicists, approaching from the nature of time, have proposed a view that subverts our daily experience. Our perceived flow of time may be merely a subjective cognitive illusion. In a theoretical model known as the block universe, the past, present, and future all exist simultaneously and equally in a static, higher-dimensional four-dimensional space-time structure. Your birth, your entire life's experiences, your death, and the very moment you are reading these words are all just different points in this eternally existing four-dimensional space-time block. In this picture, nothing truly happens or changes. Everything simply is eternally. This highly deterministic model of the universe seems to support the design hypothesis to some extent. The universe is like a cosmic epic in which all plots and endings are already written. However, this view immediately raises profound philosophical questions about the existence of human free will and the meaning of our lives. In stark contrast, other physicists propose the almost exact opposite view. They argue that the future is not completely determined but remains open, and is, to some extent, co-created by the choices and actions of conscious beings within the universe. Physicist John Wheeler's participatory anthropic principle is a classic example. He boldly suggested that the existence and actions of observers, especially conscious observers, are essential for the universe to condense from a state of quantum potentiality into the definite reality we perceive. There might be a deep, cosmic feedback loop between consciousness and reality. In Wheeler's own words, "The universe gave birth to consciousness, and consciousness gives meaning to the universe." This viewpoint offers a fascinating middle ground between pure design and pure chance. The evolution of the universe may be partly due to its intrinsic physical necessities, partly due to unpredictable quantum randomness, and partly shaped by the participation of the conscious life it has nurtured, capable of observation and choice. Now let us confront some strange phenomena that challenge the stability of our reality, such as the so-called Mandela effect. This refers to a situation where a significant number of people share a clear but false collective memory of a historical event or detail that never actually happened. Are these collective memory discrepancies simply due to the inherent unreliability of human memory, with many people happening to misremember the same way? Or could there be a more bizarre phenomenon at play? Some bolder speculations suggest that consciousness may not be entirely confined to our single physical universe. In a multiverse scenario, is it possible for consciousness, under certain extremely rare circumstances, to jump between very similar parallel universes, thereby mistakenly carrying memory fragments from one reality into another? Others believe that reality itself may be more fluid and malleable than we think, and is profoundly influenced by our state of consciousness and acts of observation. Although mainstream science currently prefers to explain this with the fallibility of human memory, these anomalous phenomena should at least prompt us to reflect on the extent to which the reality we perceive is actively constructed by our brains and consciousness, rather than being a mere passive reflection of the external world. Next, let us enter an even more subversive realm of conjecture. What if our entire universe, including ourselves, is just an extremely complex computer simulation? Everything we experience is just code running on a supercosmic computer we cannot imagine. This idea, known as the simulation hypothesis, has gained increasing attention among some top physicists, computer scientists, and philosophers in recent years. Its core logic is that if a civilization develops to a sufficiently high technological level, it would almost inevitably possess the ability to create incredibly realistic simulations, and would likely create a vast number of them. Statistically, it is more probable that we are living in one of the countless simulated universes rather than in the single, base reality. If we are indeed living in a simulation, the identity of the designer becomes very specific. They are the programmers who wrote the code for our simulated universe. However, this still doesn't truly solve the ultimate question of the original designer. It just pushes the problem back one level. We seem, once again, to be trapped in that familiar, infinite logical loop. Perhaps all these inquiries about the universe ultimately converge on the most profound mystery of all. Why is there something rather than nothing? This question has plagued philosophers for millennia. Some theories in modern physics, such as the description of vacuum quantum fluctuations in quantum field theory, seem to suggest that nothingness may be a fundamentally unstable state. Quantum fluctuations would inevitably produce something from nothing. But this really just pushes the fundamental question back another step. Why does this quantum vacuum, capable of producing something, exist? Why do the physical laws that govern the universe exist? Why is the structure and law of the reality we inhabit built in such a way that allows for the emergence and evolution of complexity, and ultimately, consciousness? No known scientific theory can truly, from a logical starting point, completely answer these ultimate questions about the root of existence. Because any scientific explanation must itself presuppose the existence of something. This ultimate mystery of why existence itself exists is perhaps the final, most metaphysical expression of the question of cosmic design, after layers of inquiry and speculation. The question is no longer, who designed the universe? But, why is there a universe at all for us to discuss whether it was designed, how it evolved, or why it exists in its particular way? If there truly is some cosmic purpose or deep intention beyond our comprehension behind the reality we perceive, it may be so far beyond the scope of our limited human minds that the very questions we pose are naive and laughable in its presence. Like an ant trying to understand nuclear physics with its own language and logic. Or there's another possibility. The state of being is the only logical, the only possible state. Nothingness might just be a false concept created by the limitations of our human thought. When we stand bravely at the very forefront of current human knowledge, gazing into the unfathomable abyss of cosmic mystery, we must face a humbling truth. The greatest value of the little knowledge we have acquired is perhaps that it makes us more clearly realize the vastness of our own ignorance. Almost every question we painstakingly answer immediately gives rise to more, and more complex, new questions. Every major scientific discovery, while expanding the territory of our knowledge, invariably reveals to us an even vaster domain of ignorance. The universe is not only stranger than we imagine, it may be stranger than we can imagine. Whether it was meticulously designed by a transcendent intelligence, naturally emerged through some intrinsic physical necessity, was randomly generated by pure, blind, cosmic chance, or exists in a way that completely transcends all these categories we can't even name, reality, which includes ourselves, remains the ultimate enigma, waiting for us to continuously explore and decipher. We are not bystanders external to this puzzle. We are an indispensable part of this grand enigma itself. And yet, what is astonishing is that despite facing such profound unknowns and immense difficulties, we humans have never stopped asking, never given up exploring, and never lost that curiosity that springs from the instinct of life itself. Perhaps it is this relentless curiosity, this indomitable spirit of inquiry, that itself contains a profound meaning. Perhaps one of the fundamental driving forces behind the evolution of consciousness is to contemplate and understand the very universe that gave it life. Perhaps we, as beings with self-awareness and the capacity for reflection, are one of the ways the universe comes to know itself, to explore its own mysteries. Like billions of eyes opening simultaneously in the endless darkness, looking both outward at the vast starry sky and inward into the abyss of consciousness, together we seek the answer to the initial question that began our journey of exploration. Who or what designed this universe? The answer to this question may never be settled, but the process of exploration itself is full of meaning. Thank you for listening. May this journey of cosmic contemplation bring you inspiration. Good night, and sweet dreams.